What did you find out about your friend's sex life that actually shocked you? My best friend uses blowjobs as bribery to an insane degree. I mean, I'm not above a little BJ bribery myself, but she uses it on her husband like several times a day. Wants coffee, but doesn't want to make it? BJ. Doesn't want to clean the dishes? BJ. It's her turn to walk the dogs? BJ. It's kind of hilarious. She's super lazy, but prefers giving him head to doing most chores, and apparently it works for him too. She also doesn't want sex as often as he does, so she finds this keeps him happy, and she doesn't feel the need to put out as much, all of which I find hilarious. Does she know how much easier it is to just make coffee instead of giving a blowjob? On the bright side, she must have that shit down to a quick science by now. Honestly, it sounds like she just likes giving head. Making coffee is for sure much easier. In spite of his wife being comfortable with having an open relationship, he proceeded to cheat on her multiple times before we all found out. Edit. Should clarify he refused to have an open relationship. People who cheat on their SOs are often very jealous and paranoid of their SO cheating on them. It's pretty hypocritical obviously, but some people are just shitty. A woman I dated previously moved back home upon finishing grad school. She lives on some sort of free love commune estate. She has 10 husbands. I used to frequent Craigslist back before they banged anything even resembling a dating or hookup ad. I once placed an ad and got a response from a guy on my team at work asking if I wanted to fuck his wife. As in bluntly asking, hey buddy, you wanna fuck my wife? Your email address is stripped off when using their built-in email system, but the name on your email account comes through. The response was in this guy's name, which is unique, and he included a picture of his wife who I have met. The pic didn't show her face, but she has some visible tattoos, so there is zero doubt it was her. So how was she? I never responded to the email or have mentioned it to anyone, though I did think it would have been funny. You actually get a surprising number of cuckold responses to ads, which isn't my thing, and the guy usually wants to watch. In high school, a classmate of mine was bragging one day about losing his virginity to a lady in our community who happened to be the mother to a girl a grade above us. We all called bullshit and asked why he'd make something like that up, cause not only is it not believable, it just wasn't even a funny lie. Fast forward 6 months and fellow classmate has to leave class on multiple occasions to go to court. Older lady was bragging to a co-worker about sleeping with said classmate, and now older lady is a sex offender. One of my former best friends and his fiance had been together for nearly 5 years and due to be married in a few months when this happened. They were very open about their sex life, saying it was awesome and that they had their fun nearly every night. A few months before the wedding, she confided in me that they had actually never had sex before because he was scared. Apparently he had her act like they were having daily sex to make it seem like everything was normal. First couple years they tried and didn't get anywhere with sex. After that he just lost interest in her. Apparently the mental abuse in the relationship was pretty high too, which she completely hid from everyone to save his ass. This story is why this best friend is now former best friend. Friend wouldn't let me use his computer 20 years ago. He said he had things on there that would change how I thought about him. I stowed the thought aside. 12 years or so later, married with a young daughter, they threw his ass in prison for having some insanely large amount of child porn on his computer. He was part of some huge child porn ring. Evidently really young girls. Well, I just found out my girlfriend's a lesbian, so that's kinda fucking with me. Edit. Thank you all for the support and the laughs. It sucks. We've been together for a long time. Built a bit of a life together. Been through thick and thin. She claims it's just a mistake, but she's emotionally and physically involved with another woman and has been cheating on me, as well as financially supporting the homewrecker with money we discussed saving for a wedding. I hope she finds what she's looking for, because it's not gonna be with me anymore. I've given all that I could. A former friend of mine used to wipe her husband's butt after he'd been to the bathroom. Initially she'd do his washing, and he'd leave stains on his underwear. For her? I'm not sure, and that progressed to some humiliation and her checking him when he got home from work every day. She told me this when we were outside having a cigarette, and I then had to sit across from them both for the longest game of Monopoly. A couple that I was friends with was into necrophilia play. He would make his wife take a nice cold shower, quickly dry off, and then she'd just lay there while he fucked her cold unmoving body, and they really liked it. With these kind of stories I always wonder how into it the partner really is, or if they just decided they love the other person enough to go eat it, and are now pretending to enjoy the same thing. I mean, it can't have come up during dating, can it? My best bud of 20 plus years recently came out as gay. He had a bit of a weight problem, so was constantly single. Like a good friend, I hooked him up with girls a couple times and watched as their relationship went nowhere. I always felt guilty for having a great wife. Now after 20 years realizing all my effort to get him laid were going toward the wrong fucking gender. Also not just gay, but like bespoke leather puppy mask gay. Rolled a 1 on that perception check. My girlfriend in HS was friends with this girl who was super quiet and pretty nerdy. Totally innocent in every sense of the word. When she was like 12 or so, her mom got remarried to this dude who had a son around her age. Well, at around 16 or so, my HS girlfriend finally got stoned/drunk with me one night and told me that this girl didn't want to lose her virginity, so her and her stepbrother had been doing anal regularly for months. All I remember was being like, the fuck? And then going home and masturbating furiously to the idea of it. A friend of mine thinks of me while having sex so they can keep going for much longer. How does that make you feel? Weird, flattered, indifferent? Mostly weird. I mean, we are both straight men. Go figure. He does that so he can delay orgasm, or he does that to maintain erection. It's hilarious either way, haha. The former. If it were the latter, it'd still be weird but somewhat flattering. Not gonna lie. My so's boss's husband would call up various guys, sometimes police officer friends, etc., to fuck his wife at her work while she left the phone on speaker so he could hear. That's all he wanted, was to hear her moans, I guess. It was interesting realizing this otherwise seemingly normal husband and wife with children had this phone cuckold fetish. Well, the husband at least. I married at 19 and moves across the country. My best friend at the time of my wedding was still a virgin. 2 years later, during conversation on the phone, she tells me she took part in a sex train during a party and ended up fucking my married brother too. I don't judge her, but it did shock me because she was always very reserved through high school. Define sex train, please. Pretty much fucked most of the males in the party. They were literally lined up behind one another to get to her. My best friend in college got in a pretty kinky sexual relationship with this dude for a while. They'd do BDSM type stuff, none of which is particularly shocking to me, but I remember visiting her apartment and seeing a spoon out randomly in her room and asked why it was there. She said she loved the taste of his cum so much he'd jerk off onto the spoon and feed it to her while she was tied up. I didn't think she'd ever really shock me, but that one took the cake. My friend was US Army / Special Forces / Green Beret and would go on regular shadow fucking dates. He would find people online, mostly on Craigslist, this was in the 2012, and set up random anonymous sex liaisons with people he had never met, spoken with, or had even seen. He would show up to an unlocked apartment or house, fuck in the dark without ever seeing or speaking, and bail. One day we were playing Xbox, he got an email, said don't unpause it, I gotta go fuck real quick. He left, did the deed, and brought a 6-pack back all within an hour, sat down and kept playing. This happened a few different times and I think about it often. After several years I found out that one of my female friends wore a strap-on and fucked her husband up there, but almost every time they had sex. I don't remember how the topic even came up, but apparently that was just how he liked it, and she was happy to oblige. He said that when he was 20 he did try it with another man, but didn't really find any enjoyment in it because he likes playing with tits while getting plowed, so he only likes it when it's coming from a woman wearing a strap-on. My roommate broke his bed one day after coming home with his girlfriend. Pretty ordinary so far, that happens, although already quite funny. Then I remembered that I helped him build his bed up when we moved in. Dude's bed has 2 slatted frames. How the hell did they break that?